Yo, step into the darkness where shadows lurk, where every creak, moan leaves your mind berserk. In the heart of that night where feet take flight, horror grip, tiny so no escaping its might. Haunted halls and with the echo with whispers untold, and chilling silence tales of our old from the deep of abyss where nightmares reside. A wave tale of terror, let your fear collide. Welcome to the realm where nightmares stream, and the land of horror where only the brave survives. I feel the street down your spine, the chill in the air, and the kingdom darkness where we dare to share. Blood moon rise, casting shadows long, and the maze with fear where you don't belong. Eyes glow in the dark, watching every move, and this quest gained for nothing left to prove. Monsters under the bed, with ghosts in the mist, in the house of horrors with a soul kiss. Hey Veronica, have you heard about the Unwanted roommate? It's about a college student that finds out her new roommate is a ghost.
Yes. It's so creepy how the ghost starts to manipulate her life. Can't imagine sharing a room with a ghost.
My name is Sheila. This story is around 13 years old when I had just moved to a new town for a job opportunity, and I was looking for a cheap apartment to rent. I found one online that seemed perfect, spacious, furnished, and affordable. The landlord said it was available immediately, and I didn't have to sign a lease. He just asked me to pay the rent in cash every month. I thought I had hit the jackpot. I moved in the next day, and everything seemed fine at first. The apartment was clean and cozy, and the neighbors were friendly. I unpacked my belongings and settled in. I was excited to start my new life. The first night, however, I had trouble sleeping. I heard strange noises coming from the walls, like scratching, tapping, and whispering. I tried to ignore them, thinking it was just the pipes or the wind, but they got louder and louder until I couldn't take it anymore. I got up and turned on the lights, hoping to scare away whatever was making the noises. But as soon as I did, the noises stopped. I looked around, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I shrugged it off and went back to bed. The next night, the same thing happened. The noises started as soon as I turned off the lights, and they stopped as soon as I turned them on. I was getting annoyed and scared. I wondered if someone was playing a prank on me, or if the apartment was haunted. I decided to call the landlord and ask him about it. He answered the phone and sounded surprised to hear from me. I told him about the noises and asked him if he knew what was causing them. He paused for a moment and then said in a low voice, "Oh, you heard them too." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" I asked. He sighed and said, "Look, I'm sorry I didn't tell you this before, but the apartment has a history. A few years ago, a young woman lived there, and she was murdered by her boyfriend. He stabbed her to death in the bedroom, and then killed himself. The police said it was a crime of passion, but some people say it was something else, something evil." I gasped and felt my heart pounding. "Are you serious?" I asked. He said, "Yes, I'm afraid so. And ever since then, the apartment has been haunted by their spirits. They make noises at night, trying to communicate with the living. Or maybe they're trying to warn them. I don't know. I've tried to get rid of them, but nothing works, it seems." I was speechless. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt like I was in a nightmare. I asked him, "Why didn't you tell me this before? Why did you let me move in?" He said, "I'm sorry, I really am. But I needed the money, and you seemed like a nice person. I thought they might have gone, or will never bother you, or maybe you could handle it." I hung up the phone and threw it across the room. I was furious and terrified. I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. I grabbed my suitcase and ran to the door. But as soon as I touched the knob, the noises started again. Only this time, they were louder and angrier than ever. I heard screaming, crying, and laughing. I heard words that I couldn't understand, but I knew they were curses and threats. I heard the sound of metal scraping against metal, and I realized it was the sound of a knife. I felt a surge of adrenaline and fear. I knew I had to escape. I pushed the door open and ran down the stairs. I didn't care if anyone saw me or heard me. I just wanted to get away from them. I reached the street and hailed a cab. I told the driver to take me to the nearest motel. I didn't look back. I spent the night in a shabby room, trembling and crying. I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing their voices in my head. I wondered if they would follow me, or if they would stay in the apartment. I wondered if they would ever find peace, or if they would haunt the place forever. I wondered if I had done something wrong, or if I was just unlucky. The next morning, I called the landlord and demanded a refund. I told him I was leaving and never coming back. He sounded scared and guilty. He said he was sorry and that he would send me the money. He asked me not to tell anyone about what happened. He said he hoped I was okay. I hung up and packed my things. I checked out of the motel and took a bus to the airport. I decided to go back to my hometown and look for another job. I decided to forget about the apartment and the ghosts. I decided to start over, but I never did.
Then there's a project, Homo Necrosis. It's about a scientist that's trying to resurrect the dead. But things go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I heard about that one. That one freaks me out. Bringing back the dead is terrifying. They never come back the same, do they?
The survivors had been on the run for weeks, scavenging for food and weapons, avoiding the hordes of zombies that roamed the streets. They had lost many of their friends and family along the way, but they still had hope. Hope that somewhere, somehow, there was a safe place, a cure, a way to end this nightmare. They had heard rumors of a secret military base that was working on a vaccine, but they didn't know where it was or if it was still operational. They decided to head to the nearest city, hoping to find some clues or contacts that could help them locate the base. They knew it was risky, as the city was infested with zombies, but they had no other choice. They packed their bags, loaded their guns, and prepared to face the unknown. They stumbled upon the laboratory by chance when they were looking for a shelter from the rain. It was hidden behind a thick metal door with a sign that read "Authorized personnel only." They broke the lock and entered, hoping to find some supplies or clues. What they found instead was a horror beyond their imagination. The laboratory was a mess of blood, guts, and broken equipment. There were corpses everywhere, some in lab coats, some in military uniforms, some in civilian clothes. Some were mutilated, some were burned, some were still twitching. The survivors felt a wave of nausea and fear, but they pressed on, hoping to find something useful. They searched the lab, finding nothing but death and destruction. They were about to leave when one of them noticed a bookshelf that seemed out of place. He pushed it aside, revealing a hidden door. He opened it and found a small office with a desk, a computer, and a journal. He picked up the journal and saw the name Dr. Samantha on the cover. He opened it and began to read. The journal was a diary of a scientist who worked on a project called Project Homo Necrosis. It was a secret experiment to create a virus that could reanimate the dead and use them as soldiers. Dr. Samantha and her team had been working on a cure, but the military had other plans. They wanted to weaponize the virus and unleash it on their enemies. Dr. Samantha had tried to stop them, but it was too late. The virus had escaped and infected the world. The journal detailed the events that followed as Dr. Samantha and her team tried to survive the zombie apocalypse. They had witnessed the zombies becoming more intelligent and organized, as if controlled by an unknown force. They had seen them use weapons, communicate, and even strategize. They had realized that the virus had evolved, and that it was not just a zombie outbreak. It was a coordinated attack. They had learned that they were not the last human standing. They were just the next meal. The journal ended with a chilling message. The virus has a mind of its own. It's not just a disease. It's a living entity. It's the master of the undead, and it wants to consume all life. It knows we're here, and it's coming for us. We have no chance of escape, no hope of survival. We're doomed. This is the end. The survivor dropped the journal and felt a cold sweat on his forehead. He looked at his friends who had read the journal with him. They were pale and terrified, and they knew what it meant. They had found the truth, but it was too late. They heard a loud bang and turned to see the door they had entered through. It was blown open, and a swarm of zombies poured in. They were armed, and they were hungry. They had found them, and they were ready to feast. The survivors grabbed their weapons and prepared to fight. They knew they had no chance, but they refused to give up. They decided to go down fighting and take as many zombies with them as they could. They shouted their battle cries and charged at the undead army. They fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. One by one, they fell and were devoured by the zombies. The last thing they saw was a pair of glowing red eyes watching them from the shadows. It was the virus, and it was satisfied. It had consumed them all.
The Midnight Download is just the eerie about a girl who downloads an app that reveals her darkest fears.
I remember that. The concept of facing your fears through technology is unsettling.
Sam, a seasoned software developer, sat in his cozy home office, staring at lines of code. It was Halloween night, and he had been grinding away for hours. Realizing he should be celebrating, or at least enjoying some seasonal entertainment, he decided to take a break. At first, he went for the low-hanging fruit, watching kitschy horror movies, scrolling through Halloween memes, and chuckling at dad joke-level Halloween puns. But it all felt too mundane. Intrigued by the idea of something truly thrilling, he thought, why not venture into the mysterious, uncensored world of the deep web? Opening a secure browser, he navigated through layers of increasingly obscure content. After bypassing various dead ends and questionable links, he found it, a pitch-black page with a simple prompt. Looking for a real Halloween experience? Download Midnight's Haunt. With a mix of caution and excitement, Sam clicked the download button. As the file completed, his computer screen flickered, displaying a message. Thank you for downloading Midnight's Haunt. Let the game begin. Suddenly, all the smart devices in his house turned on. Alexa began to recite passages from Edgar Allan Poe, while the lights shifted to an eerie red hue. His smartphone beeped and displayed. Stage 2 initiated. A chilling wind blew through the room, making the curtains dance like phantoms. His computer screen showed a countdown timer set for 3 minutes, along with another message. Solve the code, or face your deepest fears. Sam felt an adrenaline surge. Years of software development had led to this moment. He got to work, fingers flying across the keyboard as he decrypted the complex code on the screen. With seconds to spare, he succeeded. The timer froze. The lights returned to their normal color. Alexa fell silent. Everything seemed back to normal. Sam felt like he had survived an episode straight out of Black Mirror. Just as he leaned back in his chair, a new window popped up on his computer screen. It was a simple, ominous chat interface. The username Vulcan appeared, and the chat began. Vulcan. Impressive, Sam. Not many get past stage 2. Your programming skills are quite exceptional. Sam hesitated before typing. Sam, who are you? What's the point of all this? Vulcan. You can call me Vulcan. As for the point, let's just say I'm someone who appreciates skills. You've proven your worth, and you've caught my attention. Despite the nonchalance in Vulcan's messages, Sam felt a chill creep up his spine. Vulcan, I have something you should know. We've gathered a comprehensive profile on you, Sam. We know who you are and what you do. You've entertained us, and we're not done with you yet. Sam, what are you talking about? What do you want? Vulcan, soon you will receive a new quest. Refuse, and well, let's not go there. You're in the game now, whether you like it or not. Before Sam could type another word, the chat window closed itself, and his attempts to reopen it were futile. He was left staring at his desktop, pondering the sinister promise of another quest. Though he tried to brush it off as a well-executed Halloween prank, the implications of Vulcan's words loomed large. Every so often, when his smart devices acted out of the ordinary, he was reminded of Vulcan and the unfinished game he was unwillingly a part of. Days turned into weeks, and Halloween gave way to other holidays. But the words of Vulcan hung in the air like a pending update on his computer, a promise, or perhaps a threat, of something yet to come. As the new year approached, Sam couldn't help but wonder, what did Vulcan have planned for him? And more importantly, what would happen when the next Halloween rolled around?